And I want you to hear this, okay? First of all, ownership takes full responsibility for where we are. To win 8 games in 2 years is horrible. It's totally unacceptable, okay? And it's not going to continue, okay? And I want the fans to know we are as frustrated as you.
The Cleveland Browns are on the verge of making history in the most unanticipated manner that is even remotely possible. The information that I am about to disclose will fundamentally alter the way in which you comprehend the changes that have occurred in coaching in the National Football League. A significant piece of breaking news has just been published by the New York Post, which suggests that Kevin Stefanski, the troubled head coach whose job security has been called into question on a consistent basis throughout this disappointing season, may not simply be fired, but rather traded to another organization. This would be one of the most unusual and unprecedented transactions in the history of modern professional football. Now, this is no longer the result of local Cleveland speculation or the wishful thinking of fans who are extremely frustrated. Within the next 48 hours, there is a substantial possibility that something extraordinary will take place, according to this legitimate national reporting from credible sources.
2026 draft class is why Shadur will be the starter for the Cleveland Browns next year.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. There is no bona fide Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. If those people were coming out, Shadur didn't do enough to be the starter for next year. But since those individuals are not coming out, I'm starting Shadur. I'm drafting a first-round pick wide receiver. I'm drafting a first-round pick offensive lineman. I'm building this team around Shadur, and I'm seeing how far Shadur Sanders can take me. And if he can't take me that far, then I'm trying to see if I can get Arch Manning the following year, if Arch Manning is what everybody believes Arch Manning can be. But with this draft class coming up, hell no, Shadur's a guy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie. When I watch the tape, I didn't see enough improvement from Shadur to say, you know what? I love this kid as my future. I'm not looking at anybody else. I didn't see all that. But I saw enough to say, you know what? He might be able to get me 7 to 9 wins next year if I shore up that offensive line, if I shore up my wide receiving core. Quinshon Judkins, if he comes back healthy, he might be able to get me 7 to 9. I like Isaiah Bond as a number 3 and what he can do. I love Harold Fannin. David Njoku, solid player. I don't mind Jerry Jeudy as a number 2 or a number 3 either. So Shadur did enough to stave off a bad quarterback.
Kevin Stefanski would unquestionably be the poster child, the living embodiment of someone whose time with an organization is clearly coming to an end, regardless of the specific mechanism that was used to facilitate that departure. If the expression, "the writing is on the wall," could be personified as an actual human being, then Kevin Stefanski would be the perfect example. When a major national publication like the New York Post, which has established connections throughout the professional sports industry, begins publishing serious reporting about potential coaching trades, I can say with complete assurance that Stefanski will be leaving Cleveland within the next 48 hours as a result of this information. On Monday morning at the very latest, we are going to see headlines everywhere confirming that Kevin Stefanski is leaving the Cleveland Browns of the National Football League, despite the fact that the precise composition of that separation continues to be an intriguing mystery.
I know your dad was pissing you off during the game.
Oh my God.
You did so good.
All right, you gotta stop.
You did. You did.
Moms always say.
That's why it's like, it'd be hard to even talk.
No.
Dad gonna do too much, so I definitely, I don't even want to talk. She gonna be the nice one. He gonna be overly trying to coach you.
At this very moment, I am aware of the thoughts that many of you are having. Another video related to Kevin Stefanski's employment situation is presented here. We have been hearing about coaching changes for several weeks, and now there is yet another round of speculation about those changes. However, this circumstance is fundamentally distinct from the rumors and speculation that have prevailed in the past. Additionally, here is the reason why you should pay utmost attention to this. There is no possibility that the Cleveland Browns beat reporters, who may have organizational biases, are the source of this information. The local media personalities who are attempting to generate clicks are not the source of this information. The New York Post, which is a publication that is widely recognized across the country, is the source of this information, which indicates that this story has officially made its way into the national news right before the NFL playoffs begin. The Cleveland Browns have created a storyline that has the potential to overshadow the actual playoff games, which has caused them to garner national attention at the worst possible time for the organization's image.
What you said yesterday after the game about Kevin and how much you learned from him and we're understanding each other. What's your reaction to the news that he's no longer your coach?
We just found out a couple seconds ago, but I think it's just overall the mentality, like things gonna happen. That's just how the league is, and moving forward, just focus on what we can improve, individually for the next head coach.
Shadur, do you think you did enough to show everybody like?
The thing that is absolutely insane about this whole situation is that I have a genuine belief that the coaching drama involving the Browns is going to generate more interest and conversation than the playoffs themselves for significant portions of the postseason in 2025. Just give that some thought for a second. The most prestigious teams in the world are about to compete against one another for conference championships, and ultimately, the Super Bowl. That being said, it is possible that the dysfunctional organizational structure of Cleveland will dominate the headlines more than those games. In addition, the conclusion of this tale is not simply determined by whether or not Stefanski is fired or traded. After that initial decision has been made and made public, an entirely new chapter will immediately begin with a cascade of questions regarding the restructuring of the organization. Who will take over as the new head coach? Which coordinators do they involve in the process? Which positions among the staff are filled by coaches? Which of the following implications does this have for Shadur Sanders' progression? There will be a domino effect of news and speculation that will dominate sports media coverage well into the offseason as a result of all of these interconnected storylines that will play out over the next few weeks. Because this is more of a serious form of journalism than speculation, let's take a look at the actual reporting that comes from reliable sources.
You said something that I thought was asinine. It's automatic that he's going to be a head coach in the league next season. No, it isn't. And I'm going to tell you why. 6 seasons in Cleveland, 13 quarterbacks. Somewhere along the way, do I not get to look at you as a head coach and say, could you find somebody? Could you find anybody? Anybody? I'll throw the names out for you. I got them right in front of me.
Okay.
Case Keenum, Nick Mullins, Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, P.J. Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jeff Driscoll, Jameis Winston, Bailey Zappi, Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, okay? I get that it's a tough list. I understand that. But you're talking about 3 or 4 people in there that could help you look a little bit better than you look. Excuse me. If you had kept Baker Mayfield, it might have happened. Hold on, wait a minute. You can say it's Kevin Stefanski. If you're telling me he has no say, if you're telling me a 2-time coach of the year is forced to be mute and have no impact whatsoever, I'm with you. But if he has...
The headline makes it abundantly clear that insiders have been shocked by the possibility of a trade involving Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. In the National Football League, it is extremely uncommon to trade a head coach, an unusual transaction that the vast majority of fans throughout their entire lives have never seen before. Furthermore, according to Connor, an NFL insider for Sports Illustrated, our Browns have the potential to trade head coach Kevin Stefanski, with the possibility of such a deal gaining legitimate traction throughout the league among general managers and front office executives. Rather than being merely the result of media speculation, this is an actual conversation that is taking place among NFL decision-makers. It is possible that this is something that has never been carried out in quite this manner before, a deal that has the potential to bring about a significant shift in the way that coaches are hired and fired across the league. Before we delve any further into the article, allow me to share what I believe is actually taking place behind the scenes. This is because it is just as important to comprehend the mechanics as it is to comprehend the motivations. According to reports, Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, has never fired a head coach during his time as the owner of the professional football team. That is his track record, regardless of whether or not it is accurate in spirit. Therefore, is it possible that this potential trade scenario could be a creative way for Haslam to continue to maintain that technically accurate claim while still moving on from Kevin Stefanski? When it comes down to it, could he basically argue, well, we didn't fire him, we made a transfer go more smoothly. We came to an agreement that was beneficial to all involved parties. I am not aware of the specific legal and contractual mechanisms that they are planning to implement, but I am certain that a significant event is going to take place within the next 48 hours. Speaking of the Browns, wrote, there was some league-wide chatter about the potential of a Kevin Stefanski trade, the reporting states. As one industry source put it, there was some talk about getting Kevin Stefanski traded. There are some fascinating questions that arise regarding the rules of the NFL and the contractual structures. In the same way that you would trade a player, is it possible to actually trade your head coach? Is it possible for you to look for offers from other organizations? How would it be possible for another team to take over his current contract in the same way that they would assume a player's deal? Considering how infrequently coaching trades take place, these are truly uncharted territories for the majority of fans. The following is an excerpt from the article. Although the logistics of trading a head coach are extremely difficult, as or noted in his report, it is not impossible, with instances occurring several times throughout the history of the National Football League. Recently, the Broncos traded a first-round and a second-round pick to the Saints in exchange for Sean Payton in the year 2023. Given the existence of such a clear precedent, it is both legally and practically possible to carry out such a transaction. As a matter of fact, Sean Payton made the move from New Orleans to Denver by way of a trade, as opposed to being released and then being hired by another team. In exchange for allowing Payton to leave their organization, the Saints were awarded a sizable amount of draft compensation. Existing examples from the past continue. The Jets have been involved in a number of coaching trades over the years. In 1997, the team traded 4 draft picks to the Patriots in exchange for Bill Parcells. In 2000, the Jets traded Bill Belichick back to New England in exchange for 3 draft picks. There is a significant amount of precedent with regard to this kind of transaction, particularly when it involves high-profile coaches during that time period. The reporting of OR, on the other hand, indicates that a trade involving Kevin Stefanski by the Browns did not appear to be imminent or even expected as of Friday, which suggests that the situation may be developing rapidly. Kevin Stefanski has been the head coach of the Browns for almost 6 full seasons. During his tenure, the team has made 2 postseason appearances in the years 2020 and 2023, and he has been awarded the NFL Coach of the Year award for both of those seasons under his leadership. During his tenure, he achieved genuine success, as was demonstrated by these accolades. On the other hand, the 2 seasons that have just passed have been absolutely terrible from a win-loss standpoint, which has led to legitimate concerns regarding whether or not Stefanski is still capable of effectively leading this organization. Several players for the Browns have expressed their opinions regarding the coaching speculation. With a diplomatic tone, Shadur Sanders made the following statement. "I don't think we listen to the external stuff. He serves as our coach. It is commendable that a young player would act in such a professional manner. All-pro bold defensive end 4 times over. The viewpoint that Myles Garrett presented was an eye-opening one. I hope that everything works out well, regardless of how it may appear. Garrett has made it abundantly clear that he is not even remotely interested in tanking, and that he simply wants to win regardless of who is coaching, which is precisely the mentality that you require from your all-pro defensive linemen." Extra commentary from the 92.3 radio station. The Fan offers valuable context regarding the qualities that Cleveland should look for in their next coach. It is imperative that you go out and locate your Mike Vrabel or your John Harbaugh immediately. You need to find a guy who, when everyone looks at that organization, says there is only one leader. Finding that guy is essential. They need to find a man who is the embodiment of the alpha and who is capable of essentially seizing control of the entire organization and making it his own. In reference to Brian Flores, who was mentioned as a possible candidate, the analyst made the following observation. Brian Flores is going to come in, and he ain't going to take any nonsense from anybody. The time that Flores was in New England, I was in his immediate vicinity. I have a feeling that he has a poor reputation in Miami. To a large extent, he was correct about Tua. He is an alpha dog, and he is also a coach who knows how to coach. If you want to be in charge of the Cleveland Browns, you should look for someone with the same level of intensity as that. There is no doubt in my mind that the trade scenario will take place. They are not going to fire Stefanski outright. Rather, they are going to facilitate a trade to another organization, possibly one that values his offensive scheme and his credentials as Coach of the Year. As a result, Haslam is able to continue to assert his claim while simultaneously advancing the organization. Instead of going through the traditional process of conducting coordinator interviews, another team that is looking for offensive expertise might be willing to part with a draft pick in the middle of the round in order to acquire Stefanski. these next 48 hours are of the utmost importance. It would appear that Kevin Stefanski's time as the head coach of the Browns is coming to an end, regardless of whether this happens to be classified as a trade, a mutual parting, or some other creative arrangement. The manner in which that conclusion is officially documented will be a fascinating event to observe unfold. In the comment section, please share your thoughts on whether or not this trade scenario is plausible, which team might be interested in Stefanski, and who you believe should be Cleveland's next head coach. Continue to keep yourself informed and keep a close eye on the unfolding of this unprecedented situation until we meet again.